Utah mom. Could Susan Powell's secret notebook hold clues as to what happened to her? The Deseret News is reporting police recovered a notebook in her desk at work. It reportedly contains some details, possibly about Powell's marriage. It also may describe threats made against her. Also, Susan's family is now publicly reacting to the mounting suspicion around her husband, Josh. Do they buy his claim that he took their two young sons camping after midnight, right around the very time Susan vanishes? Coincidence?
The fact that Joshua has been named a person of interest in this case deeply saddens the family, but it is not a surprise, given the events and his reactions to them in the past week. We know that Susan is an excellent mother and would not have tolerated her children being taken out of the home after midnight to go camping in dangerously cold conditions.
Aha! Relatives are wondering whether Josh is really saying everything he knows about his wife's disappearance. Listen to Josh's brother-in-law on ABC's Good Morning America.
I wouldn't be surprised to find that he gets arrested in the next, 7 days. Even if he's innocent, there's still something more that he's not telling us.
Susan has been missing since Sunday, December 6th, and police suspect foul play. Police have named the husband as a person of interest. Here is the assistant chief on NBC's Today Show.
Describe him as abnormal under the circumstances. This is not normally what we see happen from loved ones of a missing family member.
I want to know what you think about this case. Give me your theory. Call me. 1-877-JDM says. That's 1-877-586-7297. Straight out to my fantastic expert panel, Curtis Sliwa, founder of the Guardian Angels and WABC radio talk shows. Boy, I want to hear from you tonight, Curtis. Can't wait. Brenda Wade, clinical psychologist. Janie Weintraub, criminal defense attorney. And joining me on the phone, Captain Tom McLaughlin of the West Valley City Police Department. They're handling this case. But we begin with Pat Reevy, reporter for the Deseret News. Pat, what can you tell us about this notebook?
Well, sources have told me that there was a notebook that Susan kept in her desk at work, and that after she went missing, police went into her work with a warrant, seized some items, including the notebook, possibly other items, not sure. And as far as this notebook, we have a source telling us that possibly she wrote down a threat that was made, and we don't know if this notebook is a journal, a diary, if it's one sentence. That's all still unclear. All that my sources are telling me is that there is this notebook, which now is in the custody of the police.
But there is significance to the fact that it was kept at the office as opposed to the home.
Well, we can assume that. We're once again hypothesizing on this case. If it was a threat, why wouldn't she take it home? Why wouldn't she tell her husband? Why did she feel she needed to keep it at work?
Absolutely. Excellent questions. Josh Powell faces a growing chorus of doubt about his camping story. Getting a 2-year-old and a 4-year-old out of bed after midnight to go sleep in a van in the freezing cold? Listen to this.
It's absolutely unexplainable. I cannot understand it, and I know everybody's having a hard time believing it. I am myself having a hard time believing it, even though I'm Josh's friend and I want to stand by him.
His lawyer has told us that there are questions that he would prefer Josh not be asked at this time.
He has not really been that forthcoming or making himself available for us to interview him and get clear and direct answers.
Curtis Sliwa, law enforcement calling him uncooperative and saying he is behaving abnormally.
Jane, what a Fruit Loop trooper this guy is. All the furniture upstairs rearranged in the wrong rooms. But, unlike a lot of other guys who have killed their wives or their lovers, at least he didn't run to the police, stage a vigil, have her name imprinted on a T-shirt while leading the search for the person that he was to begin with.
Let me jump in. We cannot jump to any conclusions. Let me finish that he killed anyone. I mean, we have to say that, first of all, we reached out to the husband and his attorney and asked them for comment. We did not get a comment back, and they have an open invitation to appear on this show and explain their side of the story. The man you're looking at there, Josh, open invitation. You come on our show and you tell your side of the story because we'd like to hear it. J.D. Weintraub.
Look, I'm not defending him, but I am defending his rights. And what has to be said is this. Exactly what Curtis said is the opposite. We cannot rush to judgment. One. Two, I agree completely. Bizarre behavior. However, bizarre behavior doesn't equal guilty of murder. And the most important point here is, you know, there's a difference between cooperating and giving information to help the police find his wife, such as the last time he saw her, he told them. Where he saw her, he told them. What he didn't want to be tied down to are alibi questions. Well, exactly show me where you were. So that then
Why
the
not?
police,
If you're, if, okay,
I'll tell
if
you
you're,
why. I'll tell
if
you
your
why.
wife's missing and you're desperately trying to find her, why not?
You're not going to find her on that campground, number one, because he's saying that. And number two, that's not helping to try and find her. That's implicating him.
I
So when he
disagree.
says
Let
he
me
doesn't
let
want
me
to
move
answer
on
that and let
because
it be
we
a witch
have
hunt.
we have Captain Tom McLaughlin on the phone. Thank you for joining us, sir. I just want to set up the situation and then get your commentary. Police say Josh will not tell them exactly where he took his sons camping the night Susan disappeared. He says he took them to Simpson Springs on the Pony Express trails. Well, get this. We did a Google map. Okay, it's about 100 miles from the Powell's home in West Valley City to the closest point in Simpson Springs. Police cannot verify the story themselves because there's snow covering the area, which would obliterate any tire marks. Captain McLaughlin, oh, is that what you mean by uncooperative, that he won't say where he went camping?
What we're talking about in terms of being uncooperative is we have many specific questions that we would like to ask him. Anytime you interview anybody, you go back, you go through that, you kind of assimilate that, and that always generates additional questions. We do have additional questions for him, and he is either not willing or unable to answer them.
What about his vehicle? I understand the family had one vehicle. The last time that Susan was seen, she was at home. She went to take a nap Sunday evening at around 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock, and then he says he took his kids, or he told a friend who was there for dinner, I'm going to go sledding with my kids. Then he's seen coming back, and then he takes off, he says, camping after midnight with his kids, going 100 miles at least to the nearest point that he identified, even though he was due at work the next day. Now, have you taken his vehicle and looked at it to see, oh, what's going on in that vehicle? Have you confiscated it and tested it, sir?
We served a search warrant on that vehicle, processed it. I'm not going to discuss what we did or did not find, and then that vehicle has been released back into his custody.
That quickly, huh? I mean, in other cases, I've heard of the vehicle being taken for a long period of time and really analyzed carefully, because sometimes, look at the Casey Anthony case. I mean, they went through that trunk and they found things at various times, just one hair or just a little bit of a scent of decomposition that the dogs hit on. I mean, you were able to do all of that and return it that quickly?
That's all I'm really going to say is we served a search warrant on it, processed the vehicle to our satisfaction, and then beyond that, we could no longer hold that vehicle.
Well, Captain, I just want to ask you one last question. Everybody seems to have problems with this story about taking two little children, ages 2 and 4, camping after midnight when you're due at work the next day, and according to his own description of where he went, going at least 100 miles or about 100 miles in sub-freezing weather with these two kids, leaving at midnight. What do you make of it, sir?
It is very strange, and these are some things we wish to go back over and discuss with him in an interview setting, and at this point we are not allowed to do that.
When you say not allowed, he's claiming that he is cooperative and that the attorney that he hired has made him available, but it's just that he's not answering?
I don't think the attorney, and you don't want to get an argument match with him, I don't think the attorney is being forthright in this description. He did bring him, or Josh Powell brought the attorney to our division. The attorney is indicating that, you know, this was for an interview. Well, several basic questions were asked. But the real reason for this visit to our department is we had a warrant to collect DNA samples from him. as we have collected from other individuals in this case. And after that DNA sample was collected, like I say, he answered very few general questions, and then his attorney terminated the contact. So his attorney giving the indication that he's serving him up on a silver platter is not accurate.
If you could hang on, Captain, you're giving us tremendous insight into this case.